Now, the Rambam writes something very scary. The main point of everything that I'm saying. So the Rambam writes, we have a Psalm. Psalm 119, verse 126. That says, Et la'asot la'Hashem, that there is a time to do the will of Hashem, but Chazal says that there's a time, from here we learn that there's a time to do the will of Hashem, but there's also a time that you can't do the will of Hashem. Anus is what they call it. You wanted to build a sukkah, you build a sukkah, but it rained. You can't sit in the sukkah. So anus. You can't do the mitzvah. Why? It's raining. It's going to cause you suffering if you sit in there with the rain dripping on your face. Right? So you don't have it. You wanted to do kiddush, but you don't have any food. You don't have challah, you don't have Hashem Yishmor, you don't have wine, you don't have nothing. Anus. You wanted to make a shiur, you didn't feel good. You didn't feel good. Couldn't show up to the shiur. Anus. Can't do it. It's against your will. Meaning it's not like you don't want to do it. It's something that's beyond your control. So the Rambam writes in his Pirush, in his commentary on the Mishnayot, in Masechet Brachot, says that there is a concept where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there's a time where you serve Hashem, but there's a time that you simply can't. Right? Simply can't do it because it's difficult. Right? But then he says something extremely scary. He says sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset with us. Because he sees, when we go to shul, all we do is we speak to each other instead of speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we go to the shiur, instead of listening to the shiur, we play with our phone the whole time. When we go to business, instead of doing kosher business, all we do is cheat and lie. When we meet with our friends, all we do is say Lashon Hara. When we do all the things that, in essence, He allows us to do in order to do a mitzvot, we don't do it. So the Rambam writes, there are certain times where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the time is not the time to not do the will of Hashem, but rather is the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will create a problem that will make you anus and not be able to do the mitzvah. Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu do such a thing? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want you to do a mitzvah? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want you to live in a sukkah for a week? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want us to go to the Beit Knesset on Yom Kippur and pray to Him and cry? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want us to see our friends and say Divrei Torah like normal people? Why? Why not? The Rambam writes one of the scariest things I've ever heard in my life. And he writes this. He says, sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply has had it with us. You make so many sins, so much Lashon Hara, so much rechilut, so much stealing, so much robbing, so much garbage. Guess what? I don't want your mitzvot. Yeah, but isn't the mitzvot what you want us to do? To get back home? He goes, no. What I want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what I want, he says, I want to punish you. That's what I want. The will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that moment is to punish us, Hashem Yishmor. And that's what the Rambam says. But He cannot punish us just like that. Why? The Torah protects us. He has a rule in the world. Torah protects us. He says, so what am I going to do? I'm not going to allow you to fulfill the Torah. How about that? The Rambam writes, I'm going to stop you from fulfilling the Torah. Shiur, you can't show up. Why? You have a headache. Shiur, flat tire. Shiur, speaker can't show up. Shiur, you don't feel like it because your wife is annoying you. All types of reasons of why you can't show up. So you figure, listen, I already get the mitzvah. I get the mitzvah. Why? Anus like Achmana Patre. If there's a concept in the Torah, it says if you're anus, if it's against your ability, it's not like you don't want to do it. You want to do it, but you can't do it. You still get the reward. The Rambam writes, listen, Rabotai, listen very carefully. Be very careful to use this excuse during this time right now. Why? There is a time where Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want to punish you because I've had it with you. And the only thing that's protecting you is the Torah that you are learning, the mitzvot that you're doing. So what I'll do in order to free my ability to punish you is not allow you to fulfill the Torah. Because there's a Gemara that says, there's a devil, there's a plague in the world. Don't go to shul. She says, I don't have to go to shul. Gemara says it. Rambam says, don't listen to it. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling you, he has a target on your head. And the only thing that's protecting you is the Torah and mitzvot. If you use this excuse, in essence, you think you're going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay at all. It's the opposite. At this time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making it difficult and almost impossible for you to learn Torah, to fulfill the mitzvot, to pray with the minyan, to do shiurim, or all the different reasons that you have, at this time, you have to listen to a different Gemara. By Resh Lakish and Masechet Brachot. It says what? If you want to acquire Torah, you have to be willing to die for it. Why? Because if not, you're going to die anyway. Just not in a good way. This is the times, Rabotai Yekarim, don't look for excuses not to do mitzvot. This is the time where you have to be moser nefesh. Sacrifice to learn more. Sacrifice to push more. Sacrifice to do more. Whatever you did until now, do more. Why? Two reasons. Number one, you want to get to a better level because you said that you're up and down, right? You want to get up, and stay up, you have to increase anyway. Number two, there's a decree on the entire world right now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in essence, is giving us simply a world where it's difficult to do mitzvot, and we can simply say, listen, we're excused. We're excused from going to shul. We're excused from going to shiur. We're excused from this, excused from that. You know what's getting prepared? A Holocaust. That's what's prepared. How do you stop it? Whatever you're doing, do more. A lot more. Yeah, but it's hard. Exactly. That's the point. It's hard. That's the point. That's what the Rambam is trying to tell us. It's very hard. Now, that's why the Rambam writes in his Mishneh Torah, in Yad Chazakah, in Ilchot Talmud Torah, in chapter 1, Halakha number 8, every Jewish man is obligated to study Torah, whether he's poor, or he's rich, or he's healthy, and he has a complete body, or he has sicknesses and difficulties, and he's afflicted with disease, whether he's young or he's old, whether he has strength or his strength have diminished, even if he's a poor person who derives his livelihood from charity and begs door to door, even if he is a husband and a father of children, he must establish a fixed time for learning Torah during the day and during the night. As it says in Yeshua chapter 1, verse number 8, Ve'igita bo yomam v'layla. You shall think about it day and night. This, Rabotai, is not a simple halakha of a suggestion. The Rambam writes, you want to stay alive eternally, you have to fulfill this. Yeah, but it's hard. Exactly. Right now it's harder. Perfect. Because if you're going to use every excuse not to learn, every excuse not to do the mitzvot, in essence, you're preparing yourself for doom. And this is, in essence, what the Admor was telling his people inside the concentration camp. While they're getting tortured. While they're getting killed by the dozens, by the hundreds of thousands. Millions of them. He says, right now, it's difficult. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to fulfill the entire Torah as best as we possibly can here. Baruch Hashem, we're not in a Holocaust right now. We cannot even think or imagine that we can understand the difficulty and the turmoil that our ancestors went through, that our brothers and sisters went through throughout the years. More or less, most people are living in luxury today. And even the ones that are not in luxury, they're not doing so horrendous in Western society, in America. In Eretz Yisrael, it's a lot more difficult. There's a much bigger gap between the rich and the poor. They've shut down the entire country, and they're planning on shutting it down Some even say until the end of the year. Talking about a few more months. Meaning that if you are already struggling, you're simply going to be inside a ghetto, because that's what your house is going to turn into. It's not an easy situation. For those of us that have an easy time, eating, drinking, working, we have a little bit of money in the bank, and so on, you have to do double, triple, quadruple what you were doing until now. Why? It's easy for you. Those that are struggling still have to do more. Why? You can still do it. Because right now, Kadosh Baruch Hu is obviously not happy. Anyone that tells you that the situation in the world is not such a big deal and things will eventually go back to normal is simply a liar. A liar. The world will never go back to what it used to be. It will never go back to normal. This scar is always going to be there. Now, things may change of how we react to it, how we treat it, how we deal with it, but this is never going away. Some big chachamim in the world say it's simply, this is the new reality. This is a new reality. So that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is setting up the world in a certain way where some of us have easy choices to make, some of us have harder choices to make, but needless to say, every one of us has to make choices. And we have to make it quick. You can't waste any more time. There's no more time to be in the middle ground anymore. There's no more time to be a little bit secular, a little bit religious. Why? Because if you're not at that point right now where Kadosh Baruch Hu is pressing you to the point where you have no money in the bank, you have no idea how you're going to eat, you're not at that stage. You're okay. You're okay. You're still working maybe, or you still have some money in the bank. You're still okay. And you're not taking advantage of that opportunity to get closer to Hashem. You're missing an opportunity of a lifetime you're never going to have again. If you're already at that stage where you're being pressed, guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects more for you too. Everyone is expected to do more. Everyone. Everyone has problems. Everyone has to deal with this thing in different ways. But the ones that are here and in different places around the world that still have the luxury and freedom that they had before, we, and I'm talking to myself more than you guys, better start pushing ourselves. Whatever you think that you're doing, apparently it's not enough. It's not. It's not enough. Whatever you're learning, it's not enough. Whatever mitzvot you're doing is not enough. Why? If it was enough, the world would be different. Yeah, me by myself. Yeah, you by yourself. You by yourself. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not happy with the situation today. People that are telling, no, everything's going to be okay. Emunah, emunah, emunah. Okay, emunah, buddy. Okay. I'm not afraid of this nonsense of corona, of the mask. I think the whole thing is ridiculous. But the effects on the world are very much real. The atmosphere is very much real. The wrath is very much there. It's there. Anyone that has eyes sees it. Sees the world will never be the same again. How much more time we have, I have no idea. It could be a year, a month, 100. I have no idea. No idea. I'm not God, nor do I have any connection. All I know is, you can see, you can smell the smoke. You can see what's going on in the world. You see that not enough people changed. Not enough people did Teshuva. Not enough people have changed their life. A lot have. It's good, but not enough. How do I know? It's still going. And it's getting worse. So, you see that the request from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is increasing. He's upping the ante. Which means we have to do our part. Each person, it's not enough for you to just do what you were doing until now. You have to do more. And like we said earlier, it's not enough for you to just be religious privately. You have to be religious publicly. You have to be proud that you're a Jew. You have to be proud that you're religious. You have to be proud of all the mitzvot that you're doing. Proud. Why? That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu requested from us before He allowed us to leave Egypt. Where He told Moshe Rabbeinu, unless they're going to make this sacrifice, this major Kiddush Hashem of taking these false gods, these goats, and tying them to the beds, let them scream for a few days, let the Egyptians see it and hear it, and slaughter them right in front of their eyes, publicizing their belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, publicizing their emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we are going to stay with Hashem, we're not afraid of you. Publicizing their religiosity, publicizing their bitachon in Hashem, being happy about it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, unless they do it, they will never leave Egypt. And He swore on His name. I didn't hear any prophecy of Hashem telling me, get people to tie some goats. But I don't need to. You see, you have a Rambam, you have a Gemarot, you have experience from Moshe Rabbeinu, you have a Torah Kedusha. You don't need to hear the prophecy to know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Right now, most of us not only are not doing enough, many of us are ashamed of what we're doing, are embarrassed of what we're doing. How do we know? We don't preach it. We don't go out there and say, you should be Jewish, to the non-Jew. You should be religious, to the secular guy. You should do tshuva, to somebody that looks religious more or less, but doesn't act like it. We don't go screaming, saying to people, Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem hu Elokim. We don't do it. Why? We're like, I'm going to do my thing. He's going to do his thing. But what about if he looks at you doing your thing? Oh, no. He's not going to see me do it. Oh, what are you doing Friday night? No, I'm with my family. You want to come to the movies? No, I'm with my family. One another time. Why don't you tell me? No, I can't go to the movies. Because a Jew doesn't go to the movies. Needless to say, a Jew doesn't go to the movies on Shabbat. Why don't you tell him that? Why don't you give him that answer? Because you don't want him to know that you keep Shabbat. Because you're embarrassed a little bit. Because you want him to think that you're like a half a goy. That's the problem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I don't want these mitzvot that we're doing embarrassed, where we still want to live a half a Jew life. Hashem says, I don't want those. So I'm going to make those mitzvot not possible. Meaning, if you're fulfilling a mitzvah today, it's because you want it. Because you're making sacrifices for it. That's going to make you not only fulfill the mitzvah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, but also enjoy the mitzvah. Because why would you invest into it and make sacrifices for it if you're not liking it? You see, Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to help us, using the tools that He has. The infinite amount of tools. Now, those tools may not sit well with our stupid mind. Because we think, maybe He should just cure everything and make everything dandy and then we'll do tshuva after we see a miracle. That's our stupidity talking. We think that we would do tshuva if everything turned out okay. Guess what? Everything used to be okay a day before it wasn't. And we didn't do tshuva. So it didn't work. And everything hasn't been okay for a while now. And we still haven't done tshuva. So, obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to continue this nightmare until we change. Stop being pretenders. Stop being people that we think that we're doing Him a favor. Because, according to the Rambam, according to the Admor that was living inside Gehenom, in this world, Kadosh Baruch Hu is preparing the world for a time like no other. And this is the time we have to take advantage of. When it says, V'samachta b'chagecha, for Sukkot, that means that even after you've learned whatever knowledge you've learned today, that may not sit well with your good mood, you have to be happy. How? You now are privy to information the vast majority of the population is denying. You now have information that can help you. What you do with it is up to you. But you have information today that can help you change, improve, get better, and as a result, improve the world around you. Be'ezrat Hashem, we use this Chag, we use this holiday as another stepping stone to where we need to be, but this time we should do it different. When you're doing mitzvah, go all out. Do kiddush, pretend like you're talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not your wife. When you do the Tilat Yadayim, pretend like Hashem is watching. And He's counting. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. When you cut the bread, pretend it's the manna. When you eat the meal, pretend like this is the best food in the world. When you're doing the mitzvot, invest as much as you possibly can in them. Because if you do that, that's a mitzvah that's welcomed by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the next time you have an opportunity to learn, which maybe is later tonight or tomorrow, pretend like you want to. And not like you just have to. Because if you pretend for long enough, you'll actually want it. You'll actually want it. And eventually, you'll learn enough to remove all the klipa that's on your soul that's causing you to hate the Torah, causing you to not want it, causing you to just want quick answers and not toil to find the answer, causing you to disagree with the sages and not just accept what they said because you're a donkey next to them, causing you to simply say, yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you, to good and bad. Start doing that. Start taking advantage of all of that. And then if you really want to make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy, do it proudly. So proud, you become contagious. That everyone around you also wants to do it. Everyone around you also wants to be religious. Everyone now around you knows that you believe in Hashem. When you do that, not only will you be happy on this Chag, but you'll make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy. Be'ezrat Hashem, we succeed in becoming happy and bringing happiness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like no other, simply by doing His mitzvot like He would want us to do, with complete mesirut nefesh, complete satisfaction, and complete desire to do them from beginning to end. Enjoy your Chag. Have a wonderful time with your family. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll see each other soon. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.
B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, we're very excited to offer you the new Be'ezrat Hashem app 3.0. It's a newer, faster app full of Torah, lots of Kedusha by the shiurim that we do, myself, Rav Ephraim, Rav Chaim, where you'll have also newer features where you're able to use the app while you're using other applications on your phone. You'll be able to share the lectures directly from the app. You'll be able to donate online and support our KIRUV and our Torah work that we're doing. And the most exciting feature is that you'll be able to actually ask questions directly on the app and get answers from the rabbis directly from the app. This is something unprecedented, and Baruch Hashem will be able to offer it. Thank you again for all of your support. Check it out. Make sure you have the kosher Torah that will re-energize your neshama each and every single day. Call to B'chava Tzlacha.